Rent versus buy usually gets one of two answers. Renting is throwing money away, or buying is always more expensive than it looks. Neither survived contact with the data. I ran 9,399 comparisons across 241 metros. At 5 years, with ordinary ownership costs, buying 182%. Then I changed one realistic number, maintenance on an older home. 82% became 31. That is the episode, not which side won. What made it flip? Both households start with the same cash. The buyer uses 20% for the down payment and pays the purchase costs. The renter invests those same dollars. Every month, both pay for housing. Whoever spends less invests the difference in the S&P composite. At the end, the house is sold, the mortgage is cleared, and the accounts are added up. We are comparing wealth, not lifestyle, square footage, or landlords. The data runs from January 2018 through March 2026. These are 241 metros where rent, home value, the FHFA index, and mortgage rates are present every month. Split metros are excluded instead of mismatched. Missing months stay missing. This is one matched panel from one unusual housing cycle. It is not a national law or 40 years of rent history. Start with the base case on screen. 5 years, 20% down, and ordinary ownership costs. Buying wins 81.9% of 9,399 runs. The middle buyer finishes ahead by 17.2% of the starting home price. But the 10th percentile loses 8.1%, while the 90th gains 40.6%. 82% is a distribution. It is not a promise. The first number is how long you stay. At 2 years, buying wins 41.6%. The middle buyer is still behind by 2.9% of the starting price. At 3 years, buying wins 62.3%. At 4, 80.2%. At 5, 81.9%. The mortgage did not improve in year 4. Transaction costs got more time to spread out. Principal fell. Rent moved. If your timeline is uncertain, the answer is uncertain too. Selling cost matters, but 7% is not a law. At 5%, buying wins 85.1% of the 5-year runs. At the 7% base case, it wins 81.9%. At 12%, 71.2%. That is a real move, but not the biggest one. A cost paid every year can do more damage than a cost paid once. Now change the costs that repeat. In the low-cost bundle, buying wins 91.7%. In the high-cost bundle, it wins 23.7%. Then there is the old home test. Only maintenance changes, from 1% to 4%. Buying falls to 31%. The middle result flips from a 17.2% gain to a 9% loss. On an older house, maintenance can be the verdict. The second number works on any listing. Take 1 year of comparable rent and divide it by the home price. Houston starts near 7%. Buying won all 39 5-year cohorts. Urban Honolulu starts near 3.9%. Buying won none. This is not a city ranking. Local costs differ. But the intuition travels. High rent relative to price helps buying. High price relative to rent gives the renter more room to invest. Now turn the ratio into a line. This is a controlled scenario, not a forecast. Homes and rents grow 3%, and the market returns 7%. For a 5-year stay and a 3% mortgage, the tie is 5.5%. On a $400,000 home, that is $1,825 a month. At a 7% mortgage, the tie moves to 8.3% or $2,770. Above the line, buying gains ground. Below it, renting does. There is no magic rent ratio. The line moves. At a 3% mortgage, the tie is 6.6% for a 3-year stay, but 4.8% for 10 years. At a 7% mortgage, those lines move to 9.6% and 7.4%. Higher rates push the threshold up. More time pulls it down. The mortgage rate matters. It just cannot answer rent versus buy by itself. History makes this easier to see. January 2018 buyers signed near 4%. buying 196.7% of metros, with a middle gain above 31%. January 2021 buyers signed near 2.7%, buying 171.8%, with a middle gain near 10. The lower rate produced the weaker result. Prices, rents, market returns, and the exit month moved too. Could Zillow's home value path be driving the answer? I reran every 5-year case with the official FHFA quarterly index, with no smoothing between quarters. Buying wins 81.9% with Zillow and 89.7% with FHFA. The versions agree on 92.1% of verdicts. They disagree 742 times across 81 metros. The big picture survives. Every local answer does not. Zillow's typical rent and typical home value are not the same physical house. The mortgage never refinances. There are no points or mortgage insurance. The base case gives no federal tax benefit. The start months overlap and metros move together. 9,000 runs are not 9,000 independent experiments. And the record starts in 2018. It includes the pandemic housing cycle, not every kind of housing market. These limits tell us how narrowly to use the result. Do not carry buying 182% to a listing. Carry 3 questions. How long will you really stay? What is 1 year of comparable rent divided by the price? What will this home cost in tax, insurance, and maintenance? Then add your mortgage rate and selling cost. If one defensible input changes the winner, the flip point is the answer. Here is the base panel one last time. 20% down, 30-year fixed, no refinance. 1% property tax, 0.5% insurance, 1% maintenance, 2.5% to buy, 7% to sell. No federal tax benefit. The sources and the FHFA check are on screen. The code and every flip table are public. Older home, change maintenance, uncertain timeline, change the holding period. Then run it again. Historical simulation, not personal financial advice.